Alrighty, I am back with another quick book review. I carried this around while I was on holiday, and this is, I need to put the cover back on, the Nightblood Prince by Molly X. Chang. Do I pronounce all that correctly? I feel a little bit torn on this one. I enjoyed it, but also there were a couple of elements that I wasn't that fond of. Now that I think about it, I sort of low-key dislike the title. It's called The Nightblood Prince. But it's the main character in the book is a girl who received a prophecy like just before she was born, that she would be destined to be the empress of all empresses. And essentially the book follows her sort of trying to reclaim her destiny and finding her own way, that sort of thing. So since like the whole book is about her rebelling against the sort of different men in her life trying to sort of claim her and claim her prophecy for their purpose, I now find it vaguely irritating that the title is The Nightblood Prince and not, I don't know, Empress of all Empresses. Like, why make the title about one of the other characters in the book and not about her? But okay, that is a minor problem that I literally only just thought of right now. Yeah, so I like the idea of the book. I like that the main topic is struggling against traditional feminine roles that are assigned, that it addresses the limitations that come with that, just the lack of choice women have, the lack of options they have. For example, something our main character here mentions a lot is, well, she is destined to be empress of all empresses, but at the same time all she's supposed to be is sort of an accessory that's sitting next to some guy who wants to be the emperor who unites, I don't know, all the continent. And she's just supposed to sit there and look pretty, essentially, with no agency or opinion she's allowed to have. And sort of the book is her struggling against all of that. And there is a love triangle for those who like that sort of thing. Not the biggest fan of that, but okay, whatever, not my jam. There is somewhere halfway through the book I was about to say we do a little bit that is inspired by Mulan, not to say that is a full-on blatant ripoff. Her father is supposed to be conscripted into the army, so she steals away in the night, disguised as a boy, joins the army, trains with the man. Sound familiar to you? Yeah, because that's from Mulan. The iconic song playing in the background. Love it. Anyway, I was sort of surprised by that because it was extremely reminiscent of the movie, of the Mulan story. Then at the same time, I guess we were talking about, limited options and action possibilities you had at the time. So I guess that was one of the few things she could do. However, well, those were all elements that I sort of liked. The things that were actually most interesting about the story were never really explored that much. So as I said, she received that prophecy before she was born. There was the prophecy, and then, well, the prophecy was about somebody with a phoenix mark on their head, and then she was born and she had the phoenix mark, so she has to be the one from the prophecy. And then in the course of the book, we learn that there is another guy who also had a prophecy made about him, and that's the Nightblood Prince. That's the dude, and he can do certain things. And that is essentially what is the most interesting about the book. And, I should also mention our main character. She also has certain abilities. She has visions, especially when she's asleep. She often dreams of, war and battles and stuff like that, things that are destined to come true. And she, tries to prevent things, blah, 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 that sort of thing. And we never really explore either one's powers properly. Like, where do they come from? Like, over the course of the story, they both sort of try to find the stargazer who initially made their prophecies, to sort of find out more on that front, but they never find that person. I also feel like the effort on that front is not that strong, if we're being honest. And other than like sort of looking for that person, I feel like we never really explore those parts of the story. And especially his abilities, the things he can do are very special, very important to the story, and very unique. And I find it sort of weird that it's almost a side note, that is not something that is addressed more, that they would look into a lot more. Especially since he also says how the prophecy he received sort of shaped his whole life very negatively. So I would have thought that, other than like asking, hey, where is the stargazer who made my prophecy, that he would, I don't know, try to find out more about that. For me, sort of that was just the weakest point of the book, because that is the thing I care about now. That is the thing I would like to find out more about. And that is the one thing the book never addresses. Oh, just one second. Alright, so I feel like that was the most interesting element of the story, and we don't really work with it. And we also have a main character who is slightly indecisive, let's put it like that. She sort of wants to escape those shackles, but she also doesn't really know what she wants to do. So, like, whose side is she on? Who does she want to help? I guess it slightly ties back into the love triangle we have, but also I found it vaguely irritating. Like, girl, I see that you're struggling, but for the love of God, make up your mind. Please. That was, just a little bit irritating. It's just, decisions we make come with consequences, and consequences that should maybe be considered up front, Yeah, so to sum things up, I like the idea of this, I think, more than the finished book. There were elements that were good, that I greatly enjoyed. There were also elements that I just felt were extremely underexplored, and that was a little bit to the detriment of the book, unfortunately. I am, however, curious to see what else Molly X. Chang has for us. And I'm curious to see what other books she's going to write. Because as I said, I didn't like the setting. I didn't like the idea. It's just, I feel like there was room for improvement. Let's put it like that. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Nightblood Prince. Bye!